Hello, I'm Susan Dunlop and welcome to episode 9 of Coffee and Contemplation with Women. All of the women I've had as guests so far have been women I've known or met over the past 20 years or so, women whom I've had a really good chance to meet and understand. And I'm really grateful for their offer to contribute their stories in the first 10 podcasts of this new series. Today's guest is a girl I know also, but not so well. So I'm going to learn a little bit about her as well today, as much as you will, and what makes up this woman as a whole. Today we are talking with Naomi Peake. Naomi is a vicenarian, or woman in her 20s. What I do know about Naomi is that she's a passionate scientist, a beautiful cook. I've seen her in a few Instagram clips dancing up a storm and singing out loud on a dance floor. That's the one, I think. So Naomi's 25, she's now married, and she is mother of a lovely cat. What's your cat's name?
Addie.
Addie, is it?
Yeah.
A cat mum. So welcome, Naomi.
Yes. Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining me. And I think when I first told you and Samantha, my daughter, about the podcast, she mentioned that you might put your mum forward. And I thought, actually,
Yes.
I was actually more interested in hearing a little bit about you, because I know you are a mix of, I said that passion around science and about cooking, and that you've even created a community group recently, and that's something that I've participated in. I can see that you are drawing people together through this hard time
Yes.
we're going through. So I sort of really wanted to hear a little bit about you.
Of course.
Yeah. What would you like to start with? Would you like to maybe just go through it from the beginning and say, well, what's your earliest memory?
Sure. Well, yes. My earliest memory, it took me a while to try and figure out what my earliest memory was. I know I was really young. I had to ask my mum for some help with this one. But my earliest memory was from when I was 2 years old, and I took things very literally when I was a kid. So I remember helping my mum up around the house with some jobs, as you do when you're 2 and you don't know how to help.
Yeah.
And she handed me this toilet roll, and she's like, "Oh, Naomi, can you go put this in the toilet for me?" And I was like, "Okay, cool." So I was like walking down the hallway, walked into the toilet room, and I'm like, "She said in the toilet, didn't she?" And I
Oh,
was
no.
standing there for like 30 seconds. And I was like, "Oh, we usually put it on the holder because it doesn't go in the toilet." But then she said to put it in the toilet. I'm like, "Oh, you know what? She said in the toilet." So I dropped it in the toilet, and then it swelled up, and you see this big blob of toilet roll just swelling like a life thing. Anyway. And I totally freaked out. I was only 2, and I still remember this freak out. I shut the door, ran off, and pretended like I had done the job that she wanted. And about half an hour later, I'm like, "Oh no, she's walking to the toilet."
Oh, no.
And she opens the door and she's like, "Naomi J. Davis." And it was so embarrassing. I still remember it. I still remember getting in so much trouble that day.
Oh, no, you're so young, so little to
I
be a
know.
helper.
Yes, I know. It's a good memory though.
Oh, no, that's lovely, yeah. Hey, what was that also the naughtiest thing you felt you did as a child, or?
Well, I don't know. I feel like I did a lot of naughty things when I was a
Oh,
child, but probably the naughtiest thing that I ever did was with my evil sidekick, my sister. And it was around 2005. I was 10 and my sister was 12, and online gaming had just become a big thing, and we were obsessed with this game called Have a Hotel, where you have a virtual reality and you can create a little person, and you get a room and you can decorate it with all these different things. You can get pets, and we decided, let's get pets. Like, we'll just deck out our houses and get these pets, because you could like feed your pet and buy it food. It was really cute. And so we decided to get the home phone and call up the Habbo hotline, where you could basically call, give them your number, and they would give you credits, and it would charge $3 to a phone bill. And we got really into it, and so we kept calling the hotline to get as many points as we wanted, because we needed a certain amount of points to get the pets, and then we wanted to get couches and all this other stuff, and it just kept going. And then I remember, like, we thought we wouldn't get in trouble. I don't know how we thought we wouldn't get in trouble, but a few weeks later a phone bill comes, and
Oh, isn't that
Of course,
crazy?
mum was like, oh my God, you children.
That's crazy. It was actually linked so easily to a phone bill back then,
It
wasn't it?
was so easy, and
Yeah.
like mum had no way of stopping it, so she decided to take her internet cable to work, and we had no
Ah.
internet for a few weeks.
Oh
But I
no.
guess like it would be harder nowadays because everyone relies on the internet, like for Netflix and everything. But back then, I guess your internet was just for online gaming for us kids and for your parents
Yeah.
to check their emails, and you could live for 2 weeks without the internet.
It's a bit like, was it Farmville was around the same era, wasn't it? I think something,
Mm,
those type of games started coming in that weren't any like just PC CDs anymore that you popped in. That were,
no,
yeah.
that was good. That was Farmville on, I think that was one of our Facebook games, and yeah, everyone got obsessed with that.
Yeah, yeah. No, I was even involved with that one, but yeah, I
Yeah.
remember hearing about Habbo Hotel. But hey,
Yes.
at the end of your life, what would you like to have accomplished?
Well, I have a few things that I would like to accomplish in my life.
Mm.
First one would be to travel with my husband. So he's Maltese, so we've always wanted to go to Malta, and my mum is English, and we have a lot of family in England, so we always wanted to go there as well.
Yeah.
And we would also like to see Italy because it would be beautiful and the food would be amazing.
Oh,
And I just want to travel to all the places where there's yummy food.
yeah, yeah. It's beautiful.
Yes. And one of the other things is that we would really love to have a couple of children and have them raised as really strong, compassionate, and happy
Yeah.
children. And I would like to be able to pass my cooking skills on to someone.
Not just cook for them, but actually have them
No,
pick up the
exactly.
experience.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
good. It's good fun with my nieces, teaching them how to cook. So it'd be nice to be able to do that with my own kids one day.
Where did your cooking skills come from? Is that something that was to do with where you were headed as a career, or what's that all about?
So it was so my dad, he was a chef when he was younger. So I kind of grew up really liking chefing and cooking and everything. And as I grew up, I had a few things that I wanted to be. I started off wanting to be an artist, and then I wanted to be a surgeon for a few years. And then when I was 16, I decided that I wanted to do chefing, and I started an apprenticeship and left school and spent 3 years working in the city in some really lovely fine dining restaurants, and it was really good. It was
Oh,
so much fun, but it's a very restricting career in certain ways. You've got to be really a certain type of person to be able to work in a kitchen. You don't really get to see much of your family, and you're working nights for eternity. It
yeah,
feels
yeah,
like. And when I started dating Greg, I couldn't really deal with not not being able to have any social life. And I kind of realized I can cook at home. I can cook for the rest of my life. You have to cook to eat.
yes, yeah.
And
Yeah,
yeah.
you've done a lot in the space between school and now being 25.
Yes, I know.
I was just realising that's a hell of a lot to fit in. How did you do that
Yeah.
around? You've also studied to be a scientist, so
Yeah, so I was 16 when I started my chefing apprenticeship, and then I was 18 when I left the apprenticeship. And because I had dropped out of school, I had to go to TAFE, and I went and got my Year 12 certificate through TAFE,
okay,
Queensland, and then I started my 4-year university degree in medical science. And 2 years ago now, 2.5 years ago, I started working as a haematology scientist
okay,
for some
yeah.
of the ladies. So yeah, it all kind of like back to back.
You just kept on going, yeah.
Yeah, just kept going.
Yeah. Is science something that you would be doing a lot of like continuing professional development in, or is it something like now you are in that role, like say, not comparing it all because it's such totally different, but say
Yeah,
being a secretary, you are a secretary,
yeah,
and that's it.
yeah.
So when you become a scientist, do you see it as something that's somewhere you've got a vision to take it to, or what? How does that work?
I guess it depends which way you go with it. A lot of people, you can either stay as a scientist and just do that. You can take it towards research. You can do fellowships in hematology and certain other areas and get into management. So like if you do a fellowship, it's kind of a bridge between your science degree and maybe a medicine degree, but it's specific to that field of hematology. And a lot of our managers, they do that before they get into management, so they can have a better idea of what happens in behind the scenes in a lab and everything. And it's very good. There's a lot of different ways you can go about it. We do have continuing education within our department as well, where if you find an interesting case, you can do a poster and you can present it at conferences and do different presentations. It's quite good.
Yeah. So you've been a scientist now for 2 years, and
Yep.
you're working in haematology, is that right? Right now,
Yes.
that's the department you've chosen to work in.
Yes.
Yeah. Is that what department you will specialise in then for the next few years?
Yeah, I think so. I think with science, the degree that we do is so multidiscipline. You're trained to work in all of the different departments, so you can always decide, I'm a bit tired of working in, say, hematology, might as well move to microbiology. But then you have to start back at the beginning, and it takes a long time to learn that entire department from the beginning. So I quite like working in hematology. I think I'll stay in there, and I might specialize later, see how it goes.
Yeah. What's the coolest thing that you've found or seen in your job so far?
The coolest thing that I've seen and found was in 2018, there was a patient who came back from the United States, and I was looking at the blood film because it was a bit abnormal, and this patient had these inclusions in their red blood cells, and we thought it was malaria at first. And it wasn't malaria, it was actually babesia, which is a similar parasite to malaria, but it's only found in America. So we very rarely see it in Australia. And it was just because the patient had traveled back from America, and it was very rare. I think there's been maybe 2 or 3 cases in Australia where we've actually seen that parasite.
Yeah, wow.
So that was pretty cool, and I got to present that at a conference, and it was good.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool. So
Yeah.
what do you think that people who aren't in your profession, how do they view scientists?
Sorry, I just had a drink, sorry.
You're fine.
So I think a lot of people don't actually know that laboratory scientists really exist. We're kind of hidden away from what the society see. When you usually go to see a doctor and you get a pathology request, you go to a collection center and get your blood drawn. And then when the results are ready, your doctor calls you and tells you if you need a follow-up test or if you're fine. But behind the scenes, there's so much more that happens. So your blood is collected, and then it's taken by a courier driver to a main lab. Our main lab is in Bowen Hills, and it's massive.
Okay.
And then scientists will process your blood or other specimens that you might have, and will determine if your results are normal or abnormal. Then pathologists get in and they diagnose a lot of the cancers. So if you think you might have a patient with cancer, it gets referred to the pathologists. They do the diagnosis and then they tell your doctor. So there's a lot that kind of happens between when you get your specimen collected and when your doctor tells you what's wrong.
Yeah.
So
is it to me, I just pictured then when you're talking about that, like human error. Is there a risk of human error in, say, not picking up something, or is it?
Yeah, so there's a huge amount of human error. A lot of laboratory errors actually are from collections. So if a collector draws your blood and then they might label it incorrectly or get your blood mixed with the next patient.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's usually where the most of our lab errors come in. But I guess there's always a risk that someone will misdiagnose or not notice an abnormality, and that is always a possibility, which is why they put you in university for 4 years, I guess.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Takes a long time.
Yeah.
Takes a long time to get trained, and then if you're ever in doubt, always send it to a pathologist, and they'll give everything a once over. There's a lot of fail safes to make sure that the patient care is always number one.
Yeah. So if you say come across something, does it then go up to another level and someone else does a second opinion or anything like that, or?
Yeah, absolutely. So anything that we find which is abnormal, we will give that to our pathologist, and they will have a look at the blood, and they'll either confirm that what the scientist saw was there, or they'll decide no, it's not really that, it's more of this. And there's a lot of second opinions and double checking.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like, you know, especially with hematology, it's based on what you're visualizing down a microscope, and you know, blood cells don't read textbooks. They don't know to look perfectly, you know, like there's so much variation that's normal and so much variation that's abnormal, and there's a lot of gray areas. So it's always good to have those pathologists. They do a really good job of double checking our work.
Yeah, and it's pretty amazing. Like when we do, as you said, when we don't really picture what actually happens with the blood that gets taken away, and that you really think, oh my God, I've got to wait 2 days for the results, you know, but you know, all that work going on in the background. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I think we do about 4,000 samples a day on our busy days.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it's quite a lot of work. I mean, we don't look under a microscope at every patient. A lot of them, if they're normal, they'll authorize, and if it's abnormal, then we have a look at it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's quite a journey between getting your blood drawn and finding out if you have anything wrong with you.
Yeah. Hey, what impact do you think your profession has?
Pathology has a massive impact.
Mm.
I did actually write down some facts for this. So
okay.
In pathology, 70% of all diseases in all, like any patient, 70% of all diseases are diagnosed by pathology, and 100% of all cancers are diagnosed by pathology.
Mm.
So
that is huge.
Any condition that you are likely to have as you grow older, or even in childhood, you know, you need pathology to diagnose that, to monitor your treatments, to determine remission. So patients with cancer, the way of determining if they've, you know, achieved remission is to make sure that there's no cancer left. You need pathologists and scientists to go in there and have a look at those specimens and, you know, make sure that it's definitely gone. There's so much of an impact on patients.
Yeah. That's pretty amazing then, that you found this without it being something as being one of your key drivers as being a child, to be I'm going to be a scientist. So are you grateful? What do you feel like the choice of being a chef or being a scientist? How do you feel now that you're in the space that you are?
Well, in a way, I'm glad that I've done both.
Yeah.
I really appreciate all of the time that I learned in the kitchen, and in a way, science and cooking are very similar. Like, you need that same part of the brain. You're a bit creative, but also you follow procedures. And I guess I didn't know that I was going to go into medical science when I left my career as a chef. I just knew that I really enjoyed science in school, and I really enjoyed math, and I thought, you know, I might as well focus my career path along those subjects, because I knew that's what interested me, and if I was going to find a career, it needed to be something that I would find interesting. And once I did some research, I realized that the medical laboratory science university degree covered so many subjects that I was really interested in. It turns out that that's what working in a lab is. You get to work in, you know, you get to work in all the subjects that you're interested in. So it's quite fantastic. I didn't really know much about the career before I started the university degree, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
No, that's great. It's great. Hey, with COVID-19, is COVID-19 affecting you at all at work or in your life? Tell me how that's for you right now. You're 25. You know, is this the first pandemic or this sort of experience you've ever been through?
Yeah, definitely. It's the first pandemic that I've ever experienced in my life, and I think the same for a lot of us. I think every 100 years it seems to be that massive pandemic seemed to sweep us, and not many people would have lived through the last one. It's had a huge impact. So I think my daily life has changed quite a lot. My husband, unfortunately, he was made redundant along with half of his team due to the coronavirus. And unfortunately, in haematology, our workload has also been reduced. A lot of our work is routine, from patients seeing their doctors, and a lot of patients are not going to their doctors at the moment because they're concerned of getting infected if they leave the house. And so we've actually had a large drop of work, so that's reduced my work hours as well. But, you know, I guess we're all just trying to respond positively and do the best that we can. My husband and I are trying to find the positives. We've been going for long walks. We live right near the Boondall wetlands, so there's a nice walking trip that we can do. And
that's good. Yeah, so you can get
Yeah,
outside.
and then I've
Yeah.
spent a lot of time cooking and sharing recipes on my page. And
Yeah. Yeah. So how about let's chat about that while we're talking about that side right now. So you've set up a page called Frugal Isolation Meals, and that's a public
yes,
group, isn't it? Or is it a page?
yes, yeah. So it's a public group on Facebook,
Okay.
and yeah, I guess I thought of the idea because everyone everyone was stockpiling all of these pantry essentials, and I kind of thought, oh, maybe like, you know, a lot of people rely on fast food, or they rely on packaged food, but not many people cook with like beans and rice and those pantry staples. And it seemed crazy to me that everyone's buying up all this food, which I don't really see people cooking with very often. And so I thought, you know, it's a pretty frugal way of living to use these pantry items, and it might as well show people how to, you know, cook beans from scratch, and, you know, try and find savvy ways to reduce your food bills.
Yeah, and you've
Um,
got a few people contributing too now. So
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, that was a goal of it, to get everyone to, you know, start a forum where they can post their ideas. And people have even posted like ideas of how to keep their fruit and veggies staying fresh in the fridge for longer. And yeah, so many good recipes using pantry staples. And
Yeah.
most of the ones that I've seen have, you know, averaged out to about $1, maybe $2 a serving, which is really quite
Mm.
frugal when you consider that, to compare it to like fast food, or if, you know, if you're having a nice big steak for dinner, you know, that
Yeah.
could easily be $10 a person. So it's quite an interesting way of cooking.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm kind of seeing it as a good challenge. It's a good way to change the way that we're all thinking, and think positively. And for me, it's nice to have a challenge.
Well, it's good too. I mean, I think being able to budget a bit better too. Like, I mean, obviously, there's people in these last few weeks have just 100% lost their jobs,
Yes.
and I think I mean, I love cooking as well, but you know, when you actually get into the use of those staples, like, you know, like
Yeah.
there's one dish I make, and really it uses 3 tins,
Yeah.
all of them max $1.50 each, and
Yeah.
I've got all the spices, like, and really it only takes then maybe like a carrot and a stick of celery. And
Yeah.
it's so cheap. It's
Absolutely.
so nourishing because it's got all the lovely lentils and, you know, a
Yeah.
really good mix of proteins and all that sort of thing. But yeah, that's what I saw when I saw what you were putting together. I thought, oh, if people can understand
Yeah.
to do
It's so
that.
easy. It is really just so easy to throw, you know, a couple of tins together, as you said, yeah, a bit of celery, a bit of carrot and herbs and spices, and
Yeah,
you could have an amazing meal. You don't need these meal kits. You don't need, you know, these, like, they have a lot of those like curry sauces and everything that you can buy in a jar. Like, you don't, like, you can use them if you
yeah.
like them, but you know, it's so easy to just make it from home yourself, and it
Mm.
makes you feel better because you're eating something more natural.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
And you can
not
always just
eating
turn around.
preservative 32.
But
Exactly.
yeah, you can just turn around and really, you'll know what to then always keep in your pantry. That, you know, it just slows you down too. I think because our life has had to slow down a lot in the last few weeks. Um,
Yeah.
that is actually making you think, you know what, I can't go out for one thing. Do I really need to
Yeah.
spend money on takeaway? Not really.
Yeah.
So what can I pull out of the pantry? And it's, yeah, it just says that time, the peace and quiet of cooking is pretty amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw some meme online the other day, and it was something like, we're all at the isolation point of having banana bread competitions, and because everyone on Facebook seems to be making banana bread. I'm
Actually,
like,
Mum said
oh,
that.
yeah. Oh, it's funny because as soon as I read it, I was like, oh, you know, I did like see about 4 or 5 people post banana bread in the last week, and I just posted about banana bread.
Oh no! I think
So
even
yeah,
Pink was even doing banana bread on her Instagram feed.
exactly. So if you can find flour.
So people are welcome to join the Frugal Isolation
Yeah,
Meals page.
absolutely.
Okay.
It's everyone's welcome, and it's really good to just see everyone joining together to, you know, talk about food and positive things.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Still keeping you occupied in the
Yes,
space in
exactly.
between.
Yeah.
Say if you could travel to a place in the world, which right now we can't catch a plane or do anything, where would you travel to and who would you take?
Well, I mean, right now, right now in the world, I probably wouldn't want to travel anywhere.
No.
But if I could pick any other time, I would choose to go back to Alaska with my husband. So we had our honeymoon in Alaska. We did a Alaskan cruise, and it was just so beautiful. The glaciers are just breathtaking, and we just spent so much time thinking, oh, I wish we were back in Alaska. It was so beautiful.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, there's nowhere else I'd rather go. And if anyone's considering going to Alaska when it's safe, definitely do it. It
Okay.
will not be regret. You won't regret it.
My girlfriend went along and did she supported I don't know how to pronounce it, it's like Iditarod, Huskies.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The husky races. Yeah, she went along and actually was like the dog minder. I thought, oh my God, it was just
Oh, that
beautiful, the
would have been such a
photos.
fun job.
Yeah, she loved
Just
it.
get to play with dogs and live in Alaska. That would be beautiful.
Well, that's an option.
Sign
There's
me
always
up. I'll change my career path again. Just look after dogs the rest of my life in winter.
I see it. Just let your poor pussy cat behind, but it should be all right.
Yeah, I should be right. She always looks grumpy anyway.
That was what I was going to say. What do you think? So you've got a cat to occupy you. What would you
Yeah.
do to make life ridiculously fun in relation to the way you're living right now?
Well, it took ages trying to think of a good answer for this, but my mind kept going back to this super random idea, which would be that life would feel ridiculously fun if animals could talk. Because I think it would just be crazy to know what's going through their minds, and to know what they're feeling or thinking. I want to know how sassy my cat really is, because she always looks pretty sassy. I reckon she could, totally, yeah, she could ruin me. But yeah, and also like dogs, I would love to know what goes through their minds when they're eating like their owner's shoes, or doing other weird dog things. Like, are they really cute, or are they just hyperactive toddlers? Like, who
Yeah.
knows?
Imagine how busy the Instagram feeds would be if everyone actually put out all their animals speaking.
Exactly. You could have videos of people talking to their pets and everything. It would cure loneliness. It's a great idea. It should happen.
I know pets are wonderful at this stage. I'm very grateful. I've got a few hanging around at the moment.
Yes,
So
exactly.
keeps
It's
me
good to have
occupied.
that extra body in the house.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, what piece of advice would you give 10-year-old you that you wish you'd been given by your mum?
Well, I mean, my mum was always pretty good at giving advice. So I guess I kind of formed this answer more as just advice that I've learned in my life. But it's relatable to everyone. And that is, don't believe that all of your choices in life are permanent. You may take certain steps in your life or your career that don't suit you forever. And it's never too late to go back and change that path. In fact, you might learn the most wonderful things about yourself if you changed your path.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I mean, I did that, and I guess that's where it's drawing from my own advice is that, I did not see any way. When I left chefing, I thought, that was the only pathway that would exist for me. And it took 5 years going through TAFE and uni to correct that path. But, I realized that I was really strong and determined. And now I know if I set my mind to something, I can achieve that. And, any 10-year-old girl needs to, or any 10-year-old girl needs to know that they can conquer the world.
yeah. That's lovely. That is lovely. And I saw that with just said the part that I did know about you, like the determination you and your your group of science student friends
Yes.
had. Like you were just all driven, and
We were, I think we definitely held each other up through that degree.
yeah,
I don't think, at least for me, I wouldn't have been able to make it through that degree if I didn't have that strong friendship group. And,
yeah.
we all got along so well, and we all pushed each other to do our best. And yeah, we smashed our degree, and look at
Yeah.
us now.
Well, as I said, but even that, in terms of that advice, is like if you hadn't done it, you wouldn't have actually ever met all those people. So
No, exactly.
the connection you've got that goes on afterwards, the shared passion, as
Yeah.
well as the stories of all the tears and the laughter and the beers and
Yes.
goodness what you all had together. But anyway,
Too much fun. Too much fun. But yeah, no, I can't imagine a world where I didn't make those friends. That would be devastating. So
yeah,
your pathway it can always change, and yeah, you will always find something
yeah,
good in your life, no matter
yeah.
what you choose.
Find your tribe.
Yes, find your tribe.
Hey, what is your? We're going to actually wrap up soon, but what is your favourite quote, and what does it mean to you?
Okay, so the quote that I've chosen is, "Be strong because things will get better. It may be stormy now, but it never rains forever." And I mean, I've never really had a favorite quote, but I read that a few weeks ago, and it kind of summed up how life feels right now for a lot of us. The whole world is kind of in an awful situation, but we need to remember that it won't last forever, and we'll find strength in the darkness and come together as people and get through it. It does not ever rain forever.
No, that's true. Yeah, it is. It's a very extraordinary time for everyone to.
Yes, absolutely. And, we're all going to learn something from it. It's going to be really awful for a lot of people. And, hopefully we'll never have a crisis or a pandemic like this happen again in our lifetime. Hopefully we can all learn from it and, find the positives.
That's the thing. Yeah, the amount of learning possibility right now is incredible. So
yes, exactly.
Hopefully it does prevent something like it ever happening again. Something to halt
definitely.
our world as much as it's halted us. But
yeah.
Exactly. Hey, so on the end of it, let's go. So what's your favourite song? And have you got a fond memory that it brings up for you?
So I've chosen the song Bring It All Back by S Club 7.
Oh,
and the song has so many, it has so many memories. Probably the best memories was probably from dancing all night at retros with my best friend Sam. We have really, really dorky dance moves, but we always have so much fun. We always hit that 90s playlist, and it's good fun. I wouldn't want to do anything else.
Yeah, that's lovely. That's good. S Club 7 was definitely around my house a lot, and
yes,
being my daughters all being the same age as you.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you'd like to raise, or is that good where you're at?
No, I think I've said my bit.
You said your bit. You've shared, yeah. And I think people just. I think it's good. The feedback I'm getting is there's a lot of people in your age group, in that 20s, that they are wanting to shift, and it's not about this pandemic, making people actually come up with a new, what's that word they say, the side hustle. Some people are having to work their butts off to get through because they can't break away because you're actually an essential worker. Yet you've got restrictions while other people are getting the chance to actually take a new path. Not because they really wanted to, because it's been forced. No. But I think it's just at the moment people are thinking differently, and just to hear how you shifted and made good of the situation too by having that frugal isolation meals group contribute your experience is pretty amazing for you, a scientist at 25, married, mother of a cat.
Yeah, it's a very grumpy looking cat, but she is very cute sometimes.
Yeah, that's good. Hey, look, Naomi, really wanted to say thank you for coming and talking today. And you are my last single digit podcast.
No. On to number 10 next week.
Oh my God, I'm just going so far with it. I'd love to have you come back again in the future, and maybe we can have a talk around your chef's experience and the frugal meals again, because obviously what we're learning now needs to carry on. And,
for sure, absolutely.
Yeah,
there's so much people can learn from it.
I just think even when people actually are earning money, how much savings they'll be able to make by not spending.
It's the easiest place to cut your budget is through food.
Yeah. Okay, well, enjoy the rest of your day, and
thank you so much for having me.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.